Hello and welcome to this edition of Creighton in the Community. My name is Joyce Bunger and I'm going to be your host. Going to college is a simple journey for many young people. But for some exceptional young people, it has not been an easy journey. These are young people that may not have otherwise been able to go to college if it had not been for the Gates Millennium scholarships they received.
Hi, I'm Yashvi Casey and I'm going to be a freshman this fall. And I won the Gates Scholarship last year, so I'm just helping other people with the application right now. I met so many people here who really inspired me to do the application, and they helped me with everything, with the essays, pretty much the whole application, so I'm just so grateful. I just want to give back, because I know if someone from here wins the scholarship, I know they're going to be like as happy as I was, and I know how happy they would be, so I just want that for someone else.
With me today is Tammy Buffalo Head McGill, and Tammy has been a partner in this program since day one. Hello. Tammy, tell me what your role is at Creighton University.
Sure. I'm primarily the Director of Student Support Services, which is a federally funded TRIO program for first-generation economically disadvantaged students and students with a disability. And 20% of my time is allocated to our Gates Millennium Outreach Initiative.
And it started when? And let's back up. Just tell me when it started at Creighton and also about the scholarship.
Sure. The actual Gates Millennium Scholarship Program started in 1999 when Bill and Melinda Gates made a $1 billion contribution, and they contracted with United Negro College Fund, who then subcontracted with other entities to provide the Gates Millennium Scholarship. They give out 1,000 of these scholarships annually. They are for Hispanic, African American, Native American, and Asian Pacific Islanders. They must be students that are graduating and matriculating for the first time. They must have a 3.3 cumulative GPA on a 4.0 scale, and they must be Pell eligible. So these are students that have a financial need. They're also students that are involved with leadership and service.
All right, let's go back to 1999. Whose idea was it to bring it to Creighton, and how did that evolve?
Sure, actually it was kind of through really relationships. What happened was in 1999 I was asked by Norbert Hill, who was at that time the director of the American Indian Graduate Center, who is the entity that United Negro College Fund subcontracts with to run the Native American portion. And they asked me to come in and be a presenter at their annual leadership conference for the Gates Scholars. And at that time when I came in, they talked to me about their need. And their need was, at that time, Nebraska didn't have any Gates Scholars, South Dakota didn't have any Gates Scholars. And they knew our reputation at Creighton as being in those communities, working with the community, having direct access to high school students as part of our mission and our identity. So they asked if I would be a Gates ambassador. And at the time, we used a model used by Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which was to do these workshops. And what we found was the workshops were good, but what really was missing was mentoring. That the students, if you met with them one time and left, they were more likely not to complete this very lengthy process. But if you brought in mentors and a support system and had frequent meetings with them and encouraged them along the way, they were more likely to complete the application. Plus, it's a very in-depth application. It has 8 essays. You have to have 8 honors and awards, 6 leadership, and then there's 5 categories for service and 5 categories for employment. And then you have to have a nominator and a recommender. So a lot of it was very labor-intensive, and the students just needed that additional support.
So when you talk about the workshops were with the young people.
Right. We actually started out working with seniors because that was the model we were replicating. And then in our relationship with the high schools, they said, well, that's really too late. You need to work with our students earlier. So then we started working with juniors, and now we've gone from working with juniors to working with freshmen. And sometimes they even ask us to work with the middle school kids.
All right, let me ask you about that. Why has that happened?
Well, that has really happened, I think, from this collaborative relationship where what they're saying to us is, well, our kids come in as freshmen, and a lot of times they don't understand why GPA is important. They don't have that connection to college. They don't have parents that have gone to college. They don't realize that getting good grades is something that can springboard them into college and a career and a different life where they have more opportunities and more possibilities. And so by us working with them earlier, exposing them to the resources that are available that can help them go on to higher education, they're more motivated and they make more of a connection.
I'm Chevy Anderson. I'm a Creighton student. I'm a sophomore here. I'm a business major. Right now we're currently helping high school students fill out their application for the Gates Scholarship. Many of these students go to local Omaha schools. We got some kids from Millard South, Omaha South, Papio. So we're just helping them out, filling the application out online. They're currently filling out their honors and awards. And the Creighton, the Jesuit values is really focused on community service. And so this is a great way to, not only, go to Creighton, get a good education, but to also give back. Before we started this program, there weren't any kids in Nebraska really getting a Gates scholarship. So this has a big impact on the kids who are, want to do better things, who don't have necessarily have the financial means to do so. So this is a big opportunity for these kids to come and get specialized help with our students and so good opportunity for us and good opportunity for them.
With the Gates Scholarship, I can go to any college that I want to in the United States. Any college. And I can go up to 5 years, and it'll pay for total cost of attendance. Total cost of attendance meaning room, board, books, tuition, health insurance, travel, and fees.
Wow.
Exactly. So, and not only can I get my undergraduate paid for, but then if I want to go on and get my master's and my PhD, Gates will pay for it, but it has to be in either math, science, education, engineering, library science, or health administration.
Oh my. Now let me ask you, when this first started, and you talk about going into the communities, what communities did you go into?
Sure, we started actually with the reservations and Omaha. So we worked primarily, because again, Gates wanted us to work with South Dakota. Primarily, they wanted us to work mainly with Native Americans. But we expanded it to also work with the Omaha community, and then we expanded to Lincoln. And there was even a time where we were going to Sioux City and Kansas and all over, but we were spreading ourselves a little too thin. So now admissions helps us out by doing one-time workshops, but they don't have the mentoring piece, but they are doing the workshops. Our immersion / mentoring program primarily focuses on the greater Omaha area, and then in South Dakota on the Pine Ridge Reservation, the Rosebud Reservation, and then in New Mexico and Arizona on the Navajo Reservation. So we go to Chinle, Arizona, Gallup, New Mexico, and this year we're adding Tuba City, and that's all on the Navajo Reservation. So that's right now where we're going. And then we added this year as well the Winnebago Reservation, which is right in our backyard with the Winnebago tribe.
Are the majority of Creighton's Gates Scholars Native American?
No, but I'd say in the beginning years when we first started the program, we really started our effort fully about in 2000 at Creighton. And at that time, the majority of our scholars were Native American. Our very first scholar actually was African American from Omaha, Kiana King. She was our very first Gates scholar. After that, it was primarily Native American, and then as we started expanding our efforts and working more with Omaha and other areas, we've been able to now, we have about a 50-50 balance between students from the reservations and students either from Omaha or the Lincoln area.
You know, you mentioned about taking it 4 years, starting as freshmen to start there. I was struck by, I believe it was last year, I helped in doing some of the editing of the essays myself. And what I am recalling is this young man was going to school full-time. He was working full-time. He did not have a car, and he didn't have a computer at home.
Exactly.
So I think that made me particularly mindful that there are some real challenges ahead. What are some other challenges that you embark, either that the students embark or we as a program at Creighton embark in trying to be successful?
Those are excellent questions. And as you noted already, some of the challenges, most of our students are not like your typical student where they just go to school and be involved with activities. A lot of their leadership really stems from family, culture, or work, because they're working to help support the family, or because the parents are working so many hours, their leadership really is in the home taking care of the younger siblings. Especially if parents don't speak English, then they're often left to do the parent-teacher meetings, handle all the business at home, tutor the younger siblings. So their leadership is very intense. Some of the struggles that they face then, besides those when they matriculate, is you still have parents that, while are very supportive of their youth and their children and want them to be successful, don't really understand what college is like and the demands of college. And so sometimes there's a struggle between responsibilities at home, in the family, and then school responsibilities. So that can be really difficult. Even some of our parents, even though the Gates pays for room and board, we have some Gates scholars that don't live on campus because parents don't want them to live on campus. They want them to stay at home and still help out in the family and be a part of the family. And obviously that kind of allows them to not really be able to fully have that full college experience like some of their counterparts, which means it's harder for them to get involved with activities in the evening, things along those lines. So it sometimes finding a fit and finding a community is a little more challenging for them because they're not as integrated into the campus life, because they're not living, you know, in the dorms, and they're not coming back maybe in the evenings to get involved with some of the activities.
Are most of the parents very supportive, though, of this process?
I would say that most of the parents are very supportive, but it's to the point where they're not necessarily sure, though, how they can support their children, especially if they're not, you know, fully fluent in the English language. Even just the process of going to college, the paperwork, all of that, the students themselves are really taking on that whole role and responsible for all of that, because while the parents are supportive, they may not have the technical expertise or background to help them through that decision-making process. So they're really kind of on their own when they're making these choices and they're going through, you know, the college process.
I have one last question for you. How many Gates Scholars have we had at Creighton, and how many do we have right now?
Well, that's a good question. We get typically about 10 scholars a year. There's been a point where we've had 44 Gates Scholars at Creighton. Yes,
that's wonderful.
Exactly. And this year we brought in 8 Gates Scholars. So I think we're somewhere around 40 or so Gates Scholars. And the other thing that's beautiful about this program is, while Gates undergrad, they will not pay for graduate professional school like pharmacy or, you know, medical or dentistry. But if you do what's called a pre-matriculation program, like early entry, like pharmacy, it will pay for up to 5 years. So right now we actually have Chester Ashong, who's in Creighton's pharmacy school, and they're paying for his pharmacy school because he entered early into the program. And then also Amy Dow is in the same situation where they're paying for her pharmacy as well. So we have some students that are even in professional school. We've had some that have graduated from OT, you know, occupational therapy. So it's not just undergrad. Some of them are also in professional school.
And then they've stayed in touch.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for everything you do for Gates. And when we come back, we're going to meet one of those special students that's a Gates Scholar at Creighton University.
I'm Celicia McClurge, and I go to Millard South High. Creighton is helping me because they keep me going. Even when I get stuck, you know, they be like, oh, this is not a roadblock. You know, this is another option, a way to do something, and it's just like a really good help. I'm so nervous because I grew up where, you know, you did your best, but by the time you got to college, a lot of them fell out. So I'm just afraid of like not being able to get to this big stage that everybody said I couldn't get to. My friend told me about this Gates scholarships that could pay for our college, and you know, I'll be the first of my mother kids to do so. So I took everything in my best interest to, you know, make sure I, you know, complete that goal for her and me as well.
With me is Monica Ibarra, and she is one busy lady. In addition to being a full-time nursing student at Creighton University, she's also a very active volunteer in the Omaha community. Hello, Monica.
Hi.
When did you first learn about the Gates Millennium Scholarship opportunity?
When I was in high school.
And how'd you hear about it?
I noticed I was getting things through the mail, and so finally one day I just went to one of the workshops to see what it was about.
So you say you keep getting things through the mail. I assume you were a pretty smart girl to begin with, to be getting this information. Am I right?
I think so.
And did you know you wanted to go to college?
Yes.
Were you worried that you would not be able to go to college?
Yeah, I was very worried.
Very worried.
Yeah.
Did your parents go to college?
No, actually they only made it to 6th grade.
Through 6th grade.
Yeah.
So you're at Omaha South, and you hear about this Gates Millennium Scholarship opportunity. You go to a workshop, and then what'd you think?
I was too good to be true.
Too good to be true. So how'd the process work? Was it an easy process? We just talked to Tammy, who makes it sound like it's a walk in the park. How hard is this process to become a Gates Scholar?
It's very difficult. One, because it's very competitive and it's very time consuming.
Tell me about it.
Most people usually start like a year or so in advance, and I started off late. I started my senior year, so I only had like 2 months or so to do the application. And it's very extensive because the application itself is 21 pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know there's essay questions because I've worked the editing side of that. What are some of the essay questions?
Well, some of them are like, what subjects are you good at? What subjects you're not? Have you experienced racism and how you dealt with it? And the last one, anything else. So you can write anything about yourself.
What'd you write about yourself in that last part?
I wrote about how I wanted to go to college and my passion for nursing and healthcare and my struggles. But even though like everyone else has struggles, I didn't let them get in between me and my goals.
You mentioned your passion to become a nurse. Why did you want to become a nurse?
Because when I was 14, I was diagnosed with lupus, and I always been in the hospital setting a lot, so I always admired the nurses and a lot of doctors, so I always wanted to be a part of that.
Have you enjoyed your experience in the nursing school at Creighton?
Oh, yes.
What have you liked best about it?
Mostly the interaction with the teachers. They're really nice, and they help you out if you have questions and things like that. So
you mentioned you're a junior, going to be a senior.
Uh-huh.
And have you thought about what type of nursing setting you're interested in going into?
I thought about it a little bit. I love Children's Hospital.
Children's Hospital,
Yeah.
take care. Well, you were a child when you started it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about once you came. Did you, when you looked at the Gates program, did you look specifically at Creighton, or did you look at other universities in the area?
I mostly looked at other universities like here in Omaha area because I didn't want to be far away from my family.
Mm-hmm. Do you need to stay close to your family?
Yeah.
Well, me too. Yeah, I understand that too. Now that you're at Creighton, are you living on campus or are you living at home?
On campus.
On campus. And do you like that campus experience?
Oh, yes. I met a lot of different people and different backgrounds.
Have there ever been times that you thought, I just don't want to do this anymore? And it's okay. I have those feelings still. Yeah.
Yes, I have, but then I gotta always think to myself, finish what you started.
Finish what you started. That's very good advice. Now, do you have a mentor right now?
Yes, Tammy.
Tammy's your mentor. So what does Tammy do for you? What do the mentors do? How important is that role?
Basically, they're there for anything, support, questions, things like that.
Do you spend most of your time with the other Gates scholars, or do you have friends throughout campus?
I have both. So.
And are your parents pleased with how this has turned out?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I bet they are.
Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed about you, or I do know about you, was that you were chosen by the Omaha YWCA as a young woman of vision. Well, I've been involved with the YW for years and years, and I know that that's an incredible award. Yeah. Tell me why you received it.
I don't know. Why did I?
Oh, you do too know why, so tell me.
I don't know. I guess I like to volunteer a lot, give back to the community.
How do you volunteer?
Mostly with Gates or through after-school programs, anywhere where there's need.
So what is one of your most favorite volunteer projects?
My favorite would be anything to do with little kids. I love little kids.
Well, that's good you like little kids. Well, what agencies have you worked with?
I think I mostly like Campfire, or I did this.
The after-school program.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you are exceptional, and we're very proud to have you at Creighton University. Thank you.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we're going to meet one of those special mentors that have made the program very successful. Now we're going to learn about pizza and proofreading. And what does this have to do with the Gates Millennium Scholarship Program? With me today is Carol Zugner. She is the Associate Professor of Journalism at Creighton University. Tell me about pizza and proofreading.
We're not really sure how exactly it got started, but it seemed like a perfect mix of when the students in the Gates Scholarship have to fill out these extensive applications and extensive essays, to use the Creighton students, already students at Creighton and faculty members here, to mentor them and help them with their scholarship applications. So in November usually, we, when the students have some essays written, we have the pizza and proofreading, and we bring I recruit people from the Creightonian staff and from my editing classes, and Tammy recruits the Gates scholarship hopefuls, and we get together and we have pizza, and then the Creighton students pair up with a Gates student and work with them on their essays. And it has been, we've done it for at least 4 years. It's been wildly successful from my standpoint. The Creighton students love it. I've had students who've done it all 4 years and say, call me if I'm working in Omaha, I want to come back and do it, because they, I think they really like using their journalistic skills to help the students, and they love meeting these students. And it makes them realize many of them didn't have the same kind of struggles that some of these students have, so it really makes them think about what they have, and they have a lot of respect for the Gates students, who generally are really working so hard and have a lot of obstacles to overcome.
I would guess one of your challenges would be in working with young women like Monica, who don't like to really talk about themselves very much. I know for a fact that Monica is an exceptional young woman, but yet it was very difficult to get her to talk about herself, and I know that probably is one of the challenges you might have.
Right, that is a challenge, and the Gates Scholarship, I really appreciate the questions, especially now that I've worked with students for them a long time. It's to help them, you know, figure out students the kind of challenges they're going to face in college. And so many times it's like, you know, what are some of your leadership abilities, and they can't really think of anything, and then you have to talk to them and say, well, what about that? And they're like, oh yeah, I guess that's right. So many times it's kind of mentoring them through their own experiences and just having them talk about what they've done and how we're going to write about that, and how we're going to let the people who are evaluating the scholarships know how hard they've worked. So it is very hard to do that sometimes. Sometimes I think it's easier with the college students working with the students. They
have a little different rapport.
A little bit different rapport. And I think it's really good for the Gates students to work with, to see college students and to see, they're in our journalism labs, they're in a Creighton classroom, to see the students, how the students interact with faculty and how they interact with each other. So I think that's a great kind of modeling thing for the future, that, oh, maybe I can do this, it's not that hard, or not quite as scary as I thought.
Now, you're associate professor in the School of Journalism.
Right.
How did you get connected into this Gates program?
Well,
did they approach you, or did you approach them?
I think Tammy had talked to my department chair about, and had been talking about the program, and they came up with the idea, and like all really good ideas, it was like, yeah, of course, this is perfect. And so that's how we kind of got involved in it, and because I really believe in the work that Tammy does and how it's important for us to help mentor these students and get these students to places like Creighton or any other university. So, and it was just such a perfect mix. And so, and then that led to me doing the Lakota immersion.
Talk about that, the Lakota immersion.
That's a program that Father Ray Bucko runs out of our anthropology department, and he recruits faculty mentors and staff mentors from the university, and we are, it starts at the beginning of the semester. We're paired up with students at Red Cloud, which is on the Pine Ridge Reservation, and they come to Omaha, and we have dinner and we start working on their applications, the same kind of one-on-one mentoring, kind of talking about their essays. And then over fall break, we go up to, the mentors all go up to the to Pine Ridge, to Red Cloud, and stay there for a couple days and meet again with the students, but then we also get a chance to see what the environment is like there, and to get a glimpse of what life is like on the reservation, and talk to the people there. So
meet the parents?
And we meet the families. There's a dinner where we meet the families, so it's really...
Are the parents, from your standpoint, are they really anxious to send their children to Creighton? Are they hesitant? What are they worried about as a parent, do you think? I think the parents, and I also think the students as well. The life on the reservation is very hard, but it's very close. They have these incredible family ties there. And so I think that sending their children off, and the children going off to a place where there aren't those same kind of ties, is very difficult. So I think it's helpful to have them meet some people who will be there, that their students can go and their children can go and talk to and see. But it's really great to get a chance to meet the parents and have them at least get a glimpse of what some of the people are like at Creighton. As a mentor, have you encountered some of the students being homesick? And what do you do?
Well, yes, and you just have to kind of...
Probably like any kid. When I sent my kid off to
like,
school, she was
right,
homesick. So.
Right. And I think any kid, I think sometimes it's maybe a little bit harder for certainly the Native American students because of the family ties that are incredibly close, and extended family ties that are incredibly close, and that life here is so different. For many students it's different, but it's so different here than it is on the reservation. You have to kind of make sure they reach out to people, Tammy is a great source. There's a lot of great resources for them to spend time together and to realize they're not alone. Many times students think it's only me, and so you have to kind of make them see we all feel that way sometimes. And part of actually the GATE scholarship is, when you run into obstacles, how do you overcome them? So I think it's important that they've thought about that a little bit ahead of time, is how do I figure this out myself?
Do you help them decide what their college majors are? Do most of them come and already know what their major is?
Well, this is like every student who comes and has an idea, and then they come to college and there's this whole other world that opens up to them. So we kind of help them figure out how to explore different options, and that they aren't stuck in something, that they need to keep making progress toward graduation, of course, but that they should explore other things. Think about what you really love to do. Think about what inspires you, what you're passionate about, and then see if you can make a career out of that as well. I mean, that should be for all of us, but
okay. One last question: Are you going to stay with the program?
Oh, of course. We've already scheduled our pizza and proofreading for this fall, so I'm excited to do it yet again.
Great. This brings our time at Creighton in the community to a close. I never cease to be amazed at these incredible young people and the mentors that are back there pushing them all along the way. On behalf of all of us at Creighton, thanks for watching.